Okay, hey, what's going on, y'all? Chinese here, also known as China El Colston, actress and indie filmmaker. So I'm joined here again with Sergio Mims, and we are going to discuss the wonderfully classic film Goodbye Again, set in Paris, 1961, starred Ingrid Bergman and oh god, I don't remember the other two principal characters. Oh, and Anthony Perkins. And I'm going to look up the other actor on IMDb. So Sergio, go ahead and introduce yourself.
No, it's a Yves Montand
Oh,
and Anthony Perkins.
oh, okay, beautiful. He was already ahead of the game. So you start because I was. You go ahead and start with your reaction to this beautiful film, love story.
Well, let's first talk about why you watched it. First of
Oh
all,
yes,
good
yes,
movies, and
yes.
by the way, hey, more black and white movies, see more films, older pictures, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, you know, and this movie, right, came out in 1961. I think it's beautifully shot in black and white in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
There are only really two cities I can think of that really look gorgeous in black and white. Is New York City. If you ever
Yes.
seen New York City movies in New York City, and Paris.
Mm.
Um, those are two cities that really look gorgeous in black and white in movies.
Yeah.
Not other cities. It has to do with the architecture. It has to do with the layout. Also
Mm-hmm.
has to do with the particular sort of light. You know,
Okay.
um, different cities have different types of light, and sometimes you can capture that light. It really brings out beauty. There's some cities that just no matter how you shoot them, like I don't know, Philadelphia will look good,
Okay.
you know. But recently, well, the movie talking about what was the movie? We're talking about
Sylvie's Love.
gosh, what's the film?
We
Yeah,
were.
we're talking about and how that film was even directed say it was very by Paris Blues.
Yes.
Uh, that film was Sidney Poitier and Diane Carroll and Paul Newman and Dren, two jazz musicians in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, okay, early 60s. And then I mentioned, oh, by the way, Diane Carroll cameo in this other romance film set in Paris
Yep.
that she must have done. She was making Paris Blues. It's just scene and goodbye again. And you took a look at it and you loved it. Froze.
Yeah.
Oh no, you didn't freeze. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. You have to,
Okay.
you have to ride out the frozen wave. You just ride it out. That's what I'm learning. Just ride it out.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So it was directed by Anatol Litvak. And you get back on the director. Anatol Litvak is one of the directors. He was actually Ukrainian. Was United States. Well, first of all, he started his in France and in Germany and France.
Okay.
And he made a film in the late Meyerling. It's a French movie with Charles Boyer. It's been actually this been a remake of that, but basically tells a true story of this who fell in love with this working class woman, and of course his father, King Joseph, disapproved, and at the end it was a murder suicide. The prince and the woman he was in love with, because of a big scandal. Okay, so that film became a huge hit. Also, in the United States, it was a French movie. They didn't really show that many foreign films in the United States at that time.
Okay.
To the United States, Warner Brothers signs him up, and he does a whole bunch of movies for Warner Brothers, like all and two, and classic movies, Davis, and also Charles Boyer. And then he makes some movies for Fox, like Anastasia and The Journey with Yul Brynner. And he died in the early 70s. He was still working up until his death.
Oh, okay.
Made films in the United States and made films in Europe. So this is a movie he made, decided to go back to Europe, movies there. They were going to be American films for American studios, but he wanted to shoot them in Europe. Okay. Um, and Goodbye Again is one of those movies. Now, tell people what the movie's all about. Now, also you have to keep in mind that um, another reason to watch older movies are and beliefs, attitudes, customs, beliefs that people had at the time. Movie, in a way, wouldn't play today.
Why do
You
you
think
say
so?
that?
Because of the basic premise. Well, because about a younger woman who has an affair with a woman has an affair with a younger man. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, she's 40. She's 40. But at the time, in the late 60s, when you were 40, that was considered old, you know? Towards the end, where she goes like, I'm old,
It's
I'm
it's
old.
it's
She's
it's a
40
wrap
years
for you.
old.
You're done.
It was a wrap, right? She's 40 years old, and how old was
He was
Tony Perkins in the movie? I guess he's supposed to be like
25.
25.
25.
Right. There wouldn't be a thing today. But at the time, that was considered quite shocking or daring. It was reverse, was I.
I
And you
was,
still see that today. Everybody talk about it.
I was surprised because according to what the word on the street is, in Europe, they're not so phased by, infidelity or an older woman dating a younger man. So I
Oh,
was surprised
that's
that.
true. But remember, this is for an American audience.
Oh, okay, got it, got it.
And well, the background, the story background is that it plays a an decorator. Okay.
Yes.
And she has been sort of like the longtime of Yves Montand. And Yves Montand is this trucking company. And she's basically because there's really no other options for her. And even though Yves Montand with other women, uh, she thinks that this is all I've got. She meets Perkins is this guy. Is he the? He's the son of this woman who living her home redecorated by Bergman, and
She's a wealthy
Perkins
widow.
meets her, and he falls heads over heels in love with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he falls, and she resists, and she resists, and until finally she gives in, even though she still feels bad, despite the fact that her right, she feels bad about it. The rest of the film, you just have to see it for yourself. It's based on a novel called Aimez-vous Brahms, which
Okay.
is French for "Do you like Brahms?" And the reason that title is that the main theme in that movie is from Brahms' third movement of his third symphony. And
Oh,
you hear it throughout the movie,
yes, you do.
you
You
know,
do.
in various ways. Even when Diane Carroll sings that song, the melody is that melody.
Oh.
It's a running theme throughout the movie, you know. Um, get a recording of the Brahms Third Symphony, listen to the third movement, you'll recognize it immediately. So that was the name of the novel. The novel was Aimez-vous Brahms. And that's what it was called overseas. In
Okay.
Europe, it was called Aimez-vous Brahms. But in the United States, they had to call it Goodbye Again. They had to call it something else.
I like the original title. Let me read what it says on IMDb. Um,
Okay.
So it says a successful businesswoman dissatisfied with her current philandering lover
Right.
starts an affair with a much younger man, aka Anthony Perkins from Psycho and Mahogany. Yeah. So
You go from mahogany.
um and Anthony Perkins' mother was a wealthy widow.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, right.
They were both American living in Paris, and he was a corporate attorney. He was
That's
completely,
it. He's a lawyer. That's it. I'm trying to remember what he did.
yeah,
He was a
he
lawyer.
was totally dissatisfied with his career. Because again, he's wealthy, so he really can just lay back and kick up his heels. And then, I mean, he just needed another excuse because according to his boss and his secretary, he was chilling. Like he didn't do a good job on the brief, and you know they were so disappointed with his work ethic. Basically, like, you just lazy. And if it wasn't for your mother being one of my, well, even Anthony Perkins' characters, like, if it wasn't for my mother being, you know, you're one of your wealthiest clients, I know I would be out the door, basically. So he understood that, you know, he was working there by the skin of his teeth because of his mother. And his mother, the lady, his mother was quirky and was all into what do you call that? The horoscopes, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
She was quirky. Anthony Perkins' character was quirky, but he was charming. He was so charming and childish, and he had a way with words, and but he was also um very in tune as to, like, he would call himself out. He knew he was kind of full of shit sometimes, and he would call himself out. And I think that's what made me like him, because he was just kind of like, yeah, I know I'm a lazy bum, and I really just, he was just like, I'm in love with you, and I want to spend my whole time with you, and I don't care about my job. And I love Anthony Perkins' portrayal. It was so interesting, and
Yeah, and
quirky.
remember this movie came out a year. Yeah, this movie came out a year after Psycho. Right.
It did.
So Andy Perkins for a long time. He started his film career. Like 7 or 8 years earlier. Sorry,
Oh,
7 or 8 years. He was the son of an actor who
oh,
actually appeared in some Hollywood movies. Perkins, um, before, like The Tall Story, and he's been in movies before, but he became a star. And Psycho, because everybody saw him as Norman Bates. So what happened when he made Psycho, he literally spent the next 5, 6, 7 years in Europe making other movies because he didn't want to cast as Norman Bates, because all people were giving him were like Norman Bates roles. And so he did Goodbye Again. He did Orson Welles' The Trial. He did a whole bunch of movies in Europe. And then he came back to the United States and basically did a lot of psycho parts. I mean, you still see, I mean, even in Mahogany, he's kind of psycho.
he was Psycho and Mahogany.
Right. And he never could escape that. And of course, he went to the Psycho sequels, which were actually pretty good. One he directed. Um, and you know, he died young, you know, but um when I mean, he was like in his 50s when he died, you know.
He was very talented.
Yeah, but he um you know, never could escape being Norman Bates. I mean, because that role was, I mean, he sometimes plays a role so well, you
Yeah.
can't see him in anything else,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and it made his name also became a burden for him. As he came to a point where he embraced it. Did I ever tell you this story when I saw him in person?
No.
Okay. Into his story. Okay, so he did. There were two Psycho sequels. There was Psycho 2 and Psycho 3, and
Okay.
I'm telling you, both of them are actually pretty good. They really are. But Psycho 3 he directed, okay, as well.
Okay.
And there was an event preview audience screening. One of a lot of radio station, events. They still, well, back when they had movie theaters, when they would, promote the movie.
Right.
And they had one of these screens for Cycle 3. It was at the old McClure Court Theater. And we didn't know, no audience didn't know that Anthony Perkins was going to be there in person, right? So if you remember the old, if you remember anybody who remembers the old McClure Court Theater,
I remember it.
right? So you used to go downstairs. That's where the screen was. You had to
Okay.
go downstairs,
Yeah.
and then there was like a lobby, and then there was a little seating area where there
Hmm.
were some seats and some movie posters, and
Yeah.
then past that, and then there was the concession stand, right?
Okay.
And then you had to turn to right, the doors were. So when people came and went through the little seating area, he was in there, right? And that's all he did. He was just standing there, face like he was Norman Bates. So you so you would come in, you go like, oh shit, and then what he did, he introduced the movie and told everybody, I decided to direct this one, and he kind of like he was Norman Bates, you know. So if you know Psycho, he stuttered. I decided to do this movie because I decided to direct it as well because I wanted to do more about it. And to it. So he sort of like embraced that character. And well, a lot of movies he did. He always played these kind of neurotic, I wouldn't say crazy, but somewhat offbeat characters, and he played a slew of them, and it made
Because that's who he is at
that's
the
what made him
core.
famous. But but in this one, he's really quite charming,
So
and he's goofy,
charming.
and he's very childlike,
He is.
in this picture. And I think anybody range he had, he was more than just characters. He was more than that. And then something, okay, about Ingrid Bergman. This was the beginning of a big comeback for her. Now, once I tell you this, folks, okay, she was even denounced in it. Now, you want to say, what did she do? Okay, this is what she did. Um, she's originally from Sweden. She makes all these movies in Hollywood. She's a big movie. And then she goes and makes a film in Italy called Stromboni. And it's an Italian, no, well, it was, and the director is Roberto Rossellini. And they wind up having, she was married at the time, he was married to somebody else at the time. But that happens all the time in Hollywood, people having affairs with everybody. But she wound up getting pregnant, right? So the attitude, but she was criticized. Okay, she was considered evil because here was this woman who had a child with a married man. Now, well, what's the big deal? At that time, and we're talking like the late 1940s, okay? No, this is like early 50s.
Ooh.
Early 50s.
Ooh.
That was a huge deal. That was a huge deal. And the fact that she was famous made it even worse. She was considered amoral. a bad influence. She was considered wicked, and
Scarlet
for
letter A.
yeah, and for um, 5 years she couldn't work in Hollywood. Now she made some movies with Rossellini. They eventually they got divorced. They got married, and they had two more children. One of them was Isabella Rossellini.
It's
Right.
Europe.
Right. But then they divorced. But for about a good 5 years, she couldn't work in Hollywood. She was
Blacklisted.
well, essentially in a way, yeah, she was. You know,
Well, the thing is, Sergio, people would frown upon her if they found out she was had a baby by a married man today. I mean, I know it's 2020.
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
No,
No,
not the same degree, but if you think everybody be like, oh, that's fine. No, people at the core, a lot of folks are still not cool with that. I don't care how liberal they are. You said she had a baby
well,
and then they got married. I mean, come on.
yeah. No, but still, the fact that that was still bad enough. I mean, like I said, it's ridiculous, but at the time, she was really vilified for that.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, if an actress did that today, well, yeah, she actress, not an actor. Okay, how many rappers have how many children by how many different women? Nobody says anything about that.
Right.
But if she was an actress today,
Mm-hmm.
I think she still would get some pushback, but
easy.
not to the
not to that degree.
She couldn't get work in Hollywood.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You know, I remember Jane Fonda. When Jane Fonda became very politically radical, it started in the late 60s.
Right.
And she still got work. She still was, even though half the country despised her of her political stance.
Is it because of her father? Her father, Henry Fonda. Is that why she still got work?
Yeah. No, because she was, well, number one, she was a really good actress. Number two, she wound up always getting nominated every time she did a part. Number three, her film still made money. You know, good movies that make money, even though a lot of people don't like you, still do that. The only time Hollywood's really going to give up on you is that if your film stop making money.
Right.
In the long run, that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. But that's a little background about her. So when she made this film, she was in the midst of this major comeback. And I'm talking about in Hollywood movies, that she had been out of it for a couple of years.
Okay.
And also it helped that she also won an Oscar.
She did?
For Anastasia, which Anatole Litvak directed.
Okay.
Which is why she did this film with Anatole Litvak again.
Okay.
That was a big comeback with Anastasia.
Okay.
And with Yul Brynner. She won the Oscar for that and was a big hit. And that really brought her back to Hollywood. Okay, we forgive you for what you did.
Well, okay, so I wanted to read here on IMDb the award nominations and the awards received for the performance in this movie. So Anthony Perkins received a Best Actor nomination by Bambi Awards in 1962 for that role in Goodbye Again. He was the winner of
for which award?
I'm sorry.
What organization?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So Anthony Perkins, for that role in Goodbye Again, he was nominated for a Bambi Award.
Bambi? What's that?
BAMBI. Bambi Awards. It says International Best Actor.
Okay, never heard of it. Okay.
Okay, and then he won the Best Actor Award for the Cannes Film Festival in 1961 for that role.
Okay.
And he won, and he was nominated. Oh, and then the director Anatole, he was nominated for Best Director at the Palme d'Or. I don't know how to pronounce that.
The Palme d'Or.
Okay, Palme d'Or.
Palme d'Or.
Okay, Palme d'Or.
Film Fest. That's the Palme d'Or.
Oh, okay.
It means the golden palm. Okay,
and then Anthony Perkins, he won an award for Best Foreign Actor at the David D. Donatello Awards. I guess that's an Italian awards in
Yeah, that's a,
1962.
that, I don't think they still have that anymore. That film festival, but that was a big one at the time.
Okay, so Anthony Perkins racked up because and I was, first of all, I was so moved by Anthony Perkins' performance, by everybody's, by the love interest who owned the trucking company, the international trucking company. He was a nice looking Italian cat. Ingrid Bergman, I liked
Well,
her
you mean Yves
so,
Montand?
huh?
Wait a minute, you mean Yves Montand? You mean Yves Montand?
The lead, her love interest who married
Yeah,
her.
he's French.
Okay,
Yves
he's
Montand. He's
okay.
like a legendary French actor. Right.
Oh, okay. Well, I was very moved by her as soon as I saw her on the screen. Um, she has a she kind of radiates from inside. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I right away just took to her as a character. Um, she was so nice, and she taps into her fragility like this. And it looks so, she's so natural in her acting, and so open. And I was very moved by her performance, and the journey she had to take. Like, this guy who was the trucker, he was the philanderer, and he kept like oscillating back. He kept like messing with her emotionally. Like, she was so lonely. You know how they say you can be married and still feel alone, or be in a relationship and feel alone?
Mm-hmm.
That movie really illustrated being in a relationship but feeling lonely. It did such a great job of that, because every time she wanted to hang out with him on the weekend, this dude was, oh, I have plans. And sometimes he legitimate had, like, he had to travel on business, but most of the time he was with some younger
Right,
women.
he's with somebody else. Right.
And they were always younger women. They were never anybody in his age group, right?
Right. I mean, he was always, and once again, there's a personal story behind Yves Montand, but um, I think that like the final scene in the movie where she's taking off her makeup, you know, it's just like she realizes, this is my life for the rest of my life. She had this brief moment, but now it's back to this grind, and it's a very sad ending. It really is a very sad ending, because
Sad.
that's her life.
It was so sad. And Sergio, so when she and Anthony Perkins, when she finally surrendered to Anthony Perkins and said, okay, I'll spend time with you. I'm loving this attention. Because she even said to old boy, she was like, it's nice being chased around the city, basically because your ass ain't doing it. And Anthony Perkins, he was a grown man. He was grown. 25 is very grown. But when she was spending a lot of time with him, and then they went dancing, and then
Yeah.
she saw her love interest, the trucker, and then their eyes met, and the look in her eyes was like, oh shit. It's like, I don't want to I love this man. I wish I didn't, because like he
Mm-hmm.
has this emotional control over my heart, because I shared my heart with him, and now it's out there. It's kind of like trying, once waste tea, you can't put it back in. It's the tea is spilled, and I feel like with her heart, she had spilled her heart onto him, and she couldn't put it back in the cup, and she wanted to exercise control, but she just. And then when they touched each other's hand, and Anthony Perkins had no idea they were touching each other's hand, but then he noticed, he sensed, and he saw the guy. And Sergio, my heart was beating so rapidly when he came back to her. I was like, I love you, and I was jealous, and I want to be with you, and I'll marry you. I'm like, girl, I didn't trust that dude, because he was just emotionally, like, he was playing her, Sergio, and he was pissing me off.
Yeah, but do you think that if she had stayed with Anthony Perkins in real life, would that have worked?
No,
Uh-huh.
no.
Right.
But I don't know.
You know?
Maybe it would have, because he was a.
Because, I don't see her really staying that much longer with Montand. Eventually he was probably he you could see he probably would dump her along the way for somebody younger. somebody else eventually?
No, I honestly, I guess call me naive, but I really think that Anthony Perkins was really in love with her, and I think he would have been loyal to her. I think he like the age difference didn't bother him, but it always.
You don't think he would have been loyal to her?
I think Anthony Perkins would have been loyal
Oh,
to her.
would have been, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and the age difference never bothered him because his thing was, I am a grown man, you're a grown woman. I don't care that you're 15 years older than me. I think you're a lovely person. I think you're beautiful. I enjoy being with you. It's a
By the
win
way,
for me.
speaking about women's parts, the mother in the film, the one who plays the mother of Anthony Perkins,
She was wonderful.
I think that's Joyce Royce Landis.
Let me see.
Is that right?
Let me see. She was wonderful. Oh my God. Everybody killed it. The
Who plays the mother?
Jessie Royce.
Jessie Royce Landis. Okay.
Yes,
She
exactly.
also plays Cary Grant's mother in Hitchcock's North by Northwest. Okay.
That's why she looks familiar.
Yeah. She was only 3 years older than Cary Grant.
She was wonderful. I
Really,
love
but
her.
she plays his mother in the movie.
Wow.
You know, and you're like, well, shows you women's parts. Gee, you're only 3 years older, but have you played the mother? Really? You know, why not the wife? Well, you can't play the wife. No, we can't have you do that. You know,
God forbid, right?
now, Yves Montand, he did a bunch of Hollywood movies too, right? But he was primarily a French actor. He was French, did a ton of French movies. Really superb actor. He was married for many years to Simone Signoret, who's another great French actress, who also did a bunch of Hollywood movies.
Okay.
He had an affair with Marilyn Monroe when they made a
He
film
did?
together. And that drove Signoret to drink. It really did. And it took a toll on her looks. Because if you watch early films of Signoret, when she's much younger in the late 40s and 50s, she's really striking. She's really striking. She has one of the most really striking faces, and she has these cat eyes. But if you see her in later films, she's like bloated and heavier. And you go like, what, is that the same woman who was in that Coxazur? You know, is it really? But it was Montand's Flandering that turned her that way. So in a way, Montand was in this movie is like
Playing
working in
himself.
real life. He knows that what his philandering does to women, you know, didn't stop him. But yeah, his character's not supposed to be likable. Okay.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
He was
He
likable.
but he is intriguing. That's
Yes, exactly. He's intrigued and he was charming.
right.
But he got on my damn nerve, you know.
Yeah, he's supposed to get on your nerve.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Now go to the scene. Now, what's your opinion about that scene with Diane Carroll?
Let's take a moment, please, for her. Because she is glorious. She is so glorious. And you were right. And I was waiting for it. Because, I mean, the reason I even watched this film was for Diane Carroll, for no other reason. And then I happened to fall in love with the whole movie. But Diane Carroll, honey, she got up on that screen and you were just like, a hubba. I mean, she was a striking, regal, sassy, elegant, and down-to-earth woman. And she just exuded all that on the screen. I mean, how can you be like, she's so elegant and high class, but she's still very earthy. She looked stunning.
So
and
to explain the scene, if you haven't seen, for those who haven't seen the movie, it's almost a throwaway scene. You could cut that scene out of the movie, you wouldn't hurt it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But it's just this one scene when Perkins is down in the dumps.
Yep.
And Diane Carroll, he goes to this club.
She's like a
nightclub.
lounge singer.
And Diane Carroll is a singer there, and she sees him, and she's intrigued by him, right? And
Yeah,
she can tell uh, just by looking at him, it's love. You're in love with this woman, and it's not working out. And she sings this song, and she's very sympathetic to him. And then she does
yes.
this song. The thing about it is, I always wish what would have happened if he had wound up involved with her. I thought it would have been I thought that could have been interesting.
I
If
agree.
he's in love, but then he starts falling in love with Diane Carroll character,
Ooh,
and now
yeah,
he's in a right,
yeah.
and then maybe at the end he leaves Bergman for Diane Carroll.
But you know what though, Sergio, the way they broke up, ooh, that scene. Oh my God, I
Yeah,
started crying for
but
him.
you see, but you couldn't do that back then. You couldn't have the white guy leave the white. You couldn't do that back then. I wasn't. Yeah,
Not
but
even
yeah, but
not
still,
even
you
in
build up to the point where the eventual breakup between Bergman and both devastated at the end.
it was so painful to watch. I mean, because he was always like putting on an air, like, well, no, he let on when he was like, he was
Mhm.
lovesick, and he expressed it like that. You didn't have to guess. But when he knew it was over, oh my God, when he walked out and she hugged him and he walked out of her house, and then when he walked out on the sidewalk it was final, the glazed over tears in his eyes. I mean, I wasn't like ugly crying, I was cute crying,
Uh-huh.
but I was so emotionally moved. Talking about chemistry, him and Ingrid Bergman, they had great chemistry. And Ingrid Bergman and the freaking philanderer, they had great chemistry as well. You know, I
Yeah,
just,
Yves Montand. Right.
I felt
Oh,
my
wait a minute.
heart,
I'm sorry. His character is supposed to be Italian, right? Isn't his character
right.
isn't? I think.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
I
yes,
gotta agree. Yeah, the character he plays is Italian.
yes.
The actor is French. Right.
No, actually, no. It says that he was born in Mansumeno Tame, Tuscany, Italy. It says he was born in Italy.
What? That's a French name. His parents must have been French.
Yeah, maybe his parents were French and they moved to Italy before. Yeah, but he was
His parents are
handsome.
French because Yves Montand, that's a French name.
Oh, okay. But when they hugged and he was like, okay, I'll marry you, whatever. I was like scared for him. Like, I was so scared for her. Like, my heart was like, oh my God. Because I'm like, this is too perfect. This is exactly what she wants. And I'm like, the way this movie is unfolding, she's not gonna get what she wants. I
Mm-hmm.
just And then when he called her, she's like, honey, they got married. And then he was like, oh, and she's like, oh, okay, well then I'll just make other plans. I'm like, so she's married and it's the same thing. Nothing
Oh,
changed
that's
outside
right.
of
They did get
being
married. Right.
married.
That's right. And they get married. Right.
It's the same
It's the
thing.
same thing. Right.
I mean, my heart broke for her. It broke. You should have saw me. I was like, and I called you right away. I'm like, I got to talk to Serge. I got to talk to somebody because this movie
Mm-hmm.
is so touching and so excellent. And I didn't see it coming. And it made me want to visit Paris, first of all. No movies ever made me want to visit Paris, but this movie made me want to visit Paris. And my heart, and then she put on her cold cream to remove her makeup.
Yeah.
My heart was broken. It was broken. It was
No, the movie works. It works. It was a movie that was forgotten for him, and in the last 5 years, discovered. Because they used to show it a lot on. They showed it on Turner Classic Movies. They used to show it on PBS, at least locally here.
okay.
So I'm just happy that it's been discovered again because I think people realize this is a really good film. And okay, it's that you really can't. Well, let me phrase it this way: they don't know how. I don't think they. I mean, they don't really know how to make a movie like this anymore. Part of it is because of actors like them anymore. You're trying to do this today, and you know, to get. You know, I saw a trailer today for a black film um, coming on Netflix, right? And it was like, the movie might be interesting, but that's me. It's like, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay.
So go ahead. Keep.
Now, where was I?
You were talking about they don't have actors like that anymore. I beg to differ because I would love to be in that. And I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, I would love to be in that type of remake. Oh my God. And I have no problems giving over to my fragility emotionally and all that. So I was like, this
No,
would be
you see,
great.
I tell you what. No, no, no. The reason she is because I told you about her past, you know, her controversial life and everything.
Yeah.
You need somebody, you need somebody, I would say older, who's been through the ringer and back.
You don't know my life.
Somebody who, you know, what kind of actors, what actors you can think of who play a part of somebody who's been beaten by life? Rose again. Okay.
I know. Just let it ride out,
No
folks.
shots.
So we're frozen for Sergio's frozen for a little bit. I'll keep talking. Okay.
Okay.
So we're back on. We're back. Um, this is Zoom. This is technology. So this is what it is, folks. We already know this.
Okay.
You were saying that you have to have. I mean, but go ahead. You were saying about you have to have a you really
So, what kind,
gone through
like,
something.
name an actress who you say can convincingly play somebody who's been beaten up by life.
Um, outside of me, no. um,
Yeah.
um, Halle Berry.
But also at the
Halle
same
Berry.
time,
Halle
show
Berry.
a vulnerability.
Oh, Halle Berry. She was so vulnerable, and their eyes were watching God.
Really?
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
What would you
The
say?
first thing I thought was, no, no. See, I can't think of one. First one I would think Viola Davis, but Viola Davis comes off too tough. You know, I don't. She portrayed vulnerability. Okay,
Okay.
can she? You know, well, she's a good actress. She can do it. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You're saying that the order
You see,
people already see her as strong black woman, so they won't receive. Is what you're saying?
but it's the same thing with Angela Bassett. I see her
Yep.
as a strong woman. I don't see her as being vulnerable, right? You know, so somebody who can show vulnerability. You know, at the same time, somebody who has been through the ringer and back. You know, and as I was saying, um, I saw this trailer for this a Netflix movie. You
Mm-hmm.
know, this black film coming out next month. And with the lead actors, I said, I don't think this movie's going to have any kind of heat or passion in it.
Ooh. Based on the
It's
trailer?
not going to have it. Yeah, I saw the trailer today. It's not going to have any heat or passion into it. Just judging from the actors.
That's what I'm that's what I'm trying to say. If it's a love story and there is no visible chemistry between the leads, then we don't care about the rest of the story for the most part. Because
Yeah,
the story is communicated through the actors. And if it's a love story, we gotta feel the love. We gotta feel that connection.
yeah, we got to, and I don't see it here. You know, I'm talking about the trailer. You know, I saw today. Um, I didn't see it with them. Now, I could be wrong. It could be great, but just judging from the trailer, I'm like, it's going to be very slick, very hip, very cool, but
We know,
is
it's
it going to
Sergio,
be
we know you're not
anything?
a fan of hip and all that and
No,
swag.
but it's going to have any real emotion to it.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all. It looks like the movie looks to me. You want to know what it is? It looks like it's more attitude than anything else. You know,
And I'm
you want to
over
know what
that.
it is, right?
I'm over that.
Right.
I think
The
that's why I
film
found
is what's it called? It's called the movie is called Malcolm and Marie
that's a nice title.
with John David Washington and Zendaya.
Oh, John David Washington and is it Zendaya?
Zendaya, yeah. And I was like, it's a two character piece. It's basic from what I understand from the synopsis, is that she's a famous actress and he plays the boyfriend,
Okay.
and it takes place over one night in their home when they have just come back from the premiere of one of her movies. And it's just about them dealing with their relationship. You know, Don David Washington, you know, he's not his father yet, you know? He's not your father yet, you know? And Zanaya, I don't see it. I don't see it. The only thing I can see, boy, she's really skinny, but I don't see it, you know. But I like if there's, but the idea is that there's this heat and this passion, and I go like, well, he's kind of aloof, and I don't think she's all that exciting or sexy. So how is this going to work?
Is it out now for streaming?
No, next month.
Oh.
Next month on Netflix. Next
Oh.
month.
Okay. Well, you got me curious.
Well, you can go and watch the trailer right now. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
What is it? What's the title?
Malcolm and Marie.
I love that title, by the way.
You know, and it was the movie that they made during the COVID thing. They only shot it in this one location in one place. You know, so
okay.
I remember reading about a couple months ago that they had shot this movie almost in secret. You know.
Oh.
And I bet you bottom dollar it's not even more than 75 minutes long. It feels that way. It just feels like a very short, tight movie. You're not going to spend 2 hours with two people in a room, in a house together.
I mean, if the chemistry is strong and the story is compelling, then you can hold my attention, you know.
Yeah, but there are only two people. It's only them.
Yeah. I hear.
Now you had other characters coming in the mix. That's different, but it's only them. It takes place over a course of a night, maybe over a course of a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
After this situation, and I go like, well, this can't be a very long movie because there's not going to be much. There's not much there to work on, and if it's too long, then what you're going to wind up doing is repeating things that you did earlier in the movie.
True.
So I get this movie. This movie's more than 80 minutes. Something went wrong.
Now, Sergio, I wanted to ask you, going back to Goodbye Again, starring Ingrid Bergman and Anthony Perkins. Do you understand why she kept going back and forth between him and her, and Anthony Perkins and the older gentleman her age? And do you think it was
it's simple.
being stupid, foolish?
No, it's simple. It's safety. She's safe with Montan. You know what you're getting. And as she said before, look, I'm 40 years old. I know it's kind of laughing now, but at the time, I'm 40 years old. I don't have that many options.
Oh.
Okay. So he's the best I'm ever going to get. And it's safe, you know. Anthony Perkins is exciting, but he's risky. And also, this is underlined, society pressure, you know.
Yes, we saw
Uh,
that at the restaurant. Mm-hmm. His phone.
right. You know, she's an older woman. He's a younger guy. You know, which reminds me that the president of France, Macron, his wife is much older than he is.
Oh.
You know, the current president of France, right?
Mhm.
But I think I think same thing. I think she's like 15 years older than he is, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a different time back then. But at the time, it's still society pressure. You know, what's an older woman
E-
doing with a young man like that? That's scandalous.
Even
That was
even
the attitude. You
even
know, well,
today.
yeah, you can say it's the attitude today. You know,
Yeah, it's not as
even
bad, but I just had such sympathy for her because she was such a nice person. She wanted she wanted to be loved because what
yeah,
Anthony Perkins' character said, yes, we want to love, but we also need to be loved.
yeah,
He possessed wisdom as well in his 25 years.
yeah. He gives her everything that Monton is not giving her.
Yes,
But
exactly.
still, Monton is still the safe choice.
The safe cheating choice.
Yeah, he's a cheater. He's right. He's got a lot of um problems. He's far from perfect, but also he's rich.
Yep.
He's rich. He um is well known in high society because he's a successful businessman.
Yep.
When
International.
when we say he's a trucker, he owns a international trucking company.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's very successful.
Handsome.
He's rich, he's got money,
Yep.
but you have to make what's the word I'm looking for? You have to accept
Compromise.
compromises.
Eartha Kitt said, compromise for what? There's a documentary of her saying that. And the thing is, like you were saying, I mean, this is 2021, so I have to come out of my thinking, my contemporary thinking, because like you said, 40 years old, and she feels like even though she looked wonderful, she still feel like she has no other options. And do you think I think he loved, I think he cared for her, but I think he was not a monogamist.
No, he's not, but also in the same thing, it was sorry, in the same way, she gives him safety too because she's there. All these other women
Yeah.
are just temporary.
And he was bored with their conversations.
Right. He's not really interested in them. He's just in for the thrill.
Yeah.
You know, um, they're superficial.
Yeah.
And Bergman is safety to him. She's dependable. She does love
Stable.
him.
Mhm.
He's dependable.
Mhm.
And you know, take it as it goes. It's a really interesting story. As I said before, it's really kind of hard to make a movie like this today. I don't say it can't be,
Yeah.
but I don't think people know today how to make a film like this. I don't think they know how.
The same type of sensibilities it requires, you're saying?
Yeah, the sensibilities that require. This is a movie that requires people who. Okay, the director Peter Bogdan. Okay, if you look at older movies like this movie, or
Mhm.
movies from the 50s or from the 40s or in the 30s,
Mhm.
relationships between men and women are much more adult and realistic
Yeah.
than the kind of relationships you see in movies today.
Mhm.
And they really are.
Yeah.
It's like these are relationships between men and
Really.
women. And Peter Bogdanovich, director, made a really interesting comment, which is really true, is that directors of that period, many of them had lives before before they started making movies. For example, um, I'm going to mention some great directors. Some people out there listening may not have heard of them. You better check them out because all of these are great directors.
Check them out.
Like Aldo Preminger and Leo McCarey were lawyers before they went to movies. Fritz Lang was an architect. Um, Howard Hawks was a race car driver and also built airplanes. Sam Fuller was a newspaper reporter, and also he covered the crime beat. And also he was in World War II. He was with the Big Red One. Uh, Victor Fleming, who directed most of Gone with the Wind, at one time had been a car mechanic. All these guys had lives
Mm,
before they got into movies. So they saw the real world. They
mm,
saw how men, interacted with women.
mhm,
John Houston had been in the Mexican army. Why he joined the Mexican army, I don't know. He had been a boxer. He had done a bunch of things before he started writing screenplays and then started directing movies. These were guys who had lives. They lived this life. Nowadays, filmmakers, you go to film school, you make movies. Okay, that's fine. But what do you know about life?
good point.
You know, Anatole Litvak had this really fascinating career. He was Ukrainian Russian. He had this life in Europe and in Paris and in France and Germany. And then Hitler came, and then he had to leave because he was Jewish. And then he comes to the United States and has this life. I think he wrote his autobiography. A lot of those directors. Oh, a great example of a guy had a life was Raoul Walsh. What a life this guy had before he got into movies. He had been he had been a stuntman. He had been a oil wildcatter. He had been a ranch hand. He had done a lot of things, and he even lost an eye in a car accident.
Mm,
And he was driving. He started as an actor, and he was driving one day back home, and a rabbit ran in front of his car. He stopped. His face went right through the windshield, and he lost an eye. And after that day, he became a director. And boy, he made some great movies. And particularly if you watch how women are in his movie, they're tough broads. That's what he knew. You know, these guys had lives. You know, and so that's why another reason why Goodbye Again works because it was made by a guy who had experienced life.
mm.
Yves Montand had a life, experienced life. Ingrid Bergman had been at one time, 10 years earlier, considered to be the most wickedest woman in in the world. Her career for one time was dead in Hollywood. She made movies in Europe with her husband, but she had to crawl her way back to Hollywood. So all these people had been beat up and then Anthony Perkins, his whole sexuality and whole everything he was going through, you
Mhm.
know. So these are people who went through things, right? And it comes out in the movies.
Yeah. This is the movie, y'all. This is the movie. Um,
Hey, Diane Carroll, once again,
I
that one thing, Diane Carroll. Okay, here's
gave
something
it
about
two
Diane
stars.
Carroll. Here's something about Diane Carroll that younger people don't remember. Okay, she had a TV series called Julia.
Yes.
Um, and in the movie, it's just a sitcom. She plays a nurse who's raising her son. You know,
Mhm.
she's a widow, right? That show gave her a nervous breakdown. She had to quit the show after 3 seasons.
Oh, wow.
And she went through a lot. Guess why? Because when the show came out, black people said it wasn't black enough. Now that
The
I've written about
writing wasn't black enough.
what?
Are they saying that the writing wasn't soulful enough? Wasn't like
No, well, the writing and her character, well, because she's a nurse. She was a nice person. She's a nurse,
yeah.
right? But they felt the show should have dealt every week with racism and obstacles, and it wasn't. It was designed as a sitcom. We're talking 1968, 1969. 1970-71. It's a sitcom. Also, the other thing too is that they forgot the fact that it was the first time that a black woman was the lead of a TV show since Beulah in the early 1950s.
Mm.
You know, and today, how many shows today you have black women who are the lead of TV shows? Okay, you got that show about the judge, All Rise.
You have
Uh,
being Mary Jane,
yeah, see, you got Batwoman, the new Batwoman that premieres next month.
Queen Sugar.
Right, but at the time, 1968, there were no,
Right.
no.
Hmm.
There hasn't been a black woman in the lead of a TV show in over a decade. And that show was Beulah, in which that character was a maid. But she took a lot from that. So Diane Carroll had been through the ringer. She had been through the ringer and back. But I mean, this was. I mean, Julia came after she made.
After Goodbye Again,
Right.
I loved her.
But still, Diane Carroll faced a lot of obstacles. She was in this around this time in the early 60s. She was in a Broadway play called No Strings, and it was an interracial love story. It was a musical interracial love story, and on Broadway, and that caused a lot of controversy. Now you'll think today doesn't mean much, but in 1961, 62,
Oh, of course.
playing a black woman in an in an interracial romance in a Broadway musical play, that was like, oh.
But for her, I'm thinking it was kind of nothing because she had been married to Caucasian men, right, and black men.
Yeah, and also
She
don't
was
forget,
married.
when she made Paris Blue, she had a long affair with Sidney Poitier.
I know. I got to buy her book.
Yeah, I mean, to buy what's the title of it?
The
The
legs are the
last
last to
to
go.
go. Right. Yeah, because Poitier in his book doesn't really go too much into it.
He does
Uh,
not.
he does not. But I got to read what she says because I
Me
got to
too.
see from what was her vantage point, her viewpoint of what happened.
I heard it was a very juicy book, and not just like on that gossip tip, but just period, like her journey as an artist, and
Right.
as a performing artist.
And at the time, when she was like married to white guys, how many black men were on her level back then? I'm talking about in Hollywood.
Oh, in Hollywood. Mhm.
That's what I mean, in Hollywood. Unless they were, all of them were already married.
Okay.
Belafonte was married. Uh, though they didn't stop Belafonte from the stories I've heard.
They didn't
Um,
stop Sidney Poitier either.
then stop Poitier. Sammy Davis Jr., at that time, he had that white wife in the early 60s. Um, really, there wasn't a lot of black men on her level in show business at that time that she could be married to.
I'm so glad that it's so funny. Goodbye Again made me want to watch Paris Blues because I just wanted to see Diane Carroll and Sidney Poitier's chemistry, which was fire. Um,
Now, I'll recommend another movie,
please
okay,
do.
which came out, I think came out the same year or yeah, a few years earlier. You should see Anna Lucasta.
Come on, Sergio.
Oh, you've seen it already. Good.
Classic, love it. Shout out to Sammy Davis Jr. and why do I keep stalling on her name? I'm so annoyed with myself.
Eartha Kitt.
Cicely Tyson. No, I'm talking about a man called Adam. Eartha Kitt.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which, like I said, is coming out next month.
He's doing a
The
commentary
new
on it.
Blu-ray with my commentary on that movie. So
Buy
that's
the Blu-ray.
a fascinating movie. And as I said, one of the really daring things about that movie is that it presents a black character who is immensely flawed. And at that time, the
No,
attitude was that we had to be perfect on screen. We had to be Sidney Poitier. We had to be perfect on screen so that
Sergio,
white people wouldn't think the worst of us.
Sergio,
Yeah.
let's do a film reaction to A Man Called Adam.
Okay, we'll do that next.
We'll do
Okay.
that. We'll do that next because I don't want you to. I want to save that for the next one because that was juicy. But I will say to y'all, I fell in love with Goodbye Again. I was so moved deeply in my soul, and I miss being moved like that. But I was by the performances, by the story. That ending broke my heart. I recommend it to Iman Fowler. She's a wonderfully talented spoken word artist out of Chicago. I told her, please stream it. And she said, superb film. And she's like, that lady never stopped saying goodbye again to her, her love interest. And I was like, that's so true. It's, to me, it's excellent. I mean, it's win-win.
We see,
Win.
well, this is a couple of things. A good movie works on that level. A good movie should always involve you emotionally. That's
Right.
what any good film, whether it's a romance or a comedy
Comedy,
or an
action.
action film or
Yeah.
a western sci-fi, it should involve you emotionally. The
Yeah.
second thing is that I keep telling people, go back and watch the old movies. I watch old movies all the time. I was raised in old movies. And one of the things is that it was a lot easier to see older films back in the day
Mhm.
because they were on TV all the time. On TV all the time. And I'm old and I will go see them in the show too. But it's not that easy anymore, but yeah, there's so many streaming sites
Yeah.
and there's so many, and once again, I'm a DVD collector. So, I should say Blu-ray collector. So, and now 4K Blu-ray collector. I got my old collection of 4Ks up there. So, it is, go back and watch those old movies because they work. I mean, I think they're better than what they're being made today because they're made by craftsmen who really knew how to put together a picture. And if a movie works, no matter when it was made.
There's a saying that, well, it came to me to say, I even posted, I was like, I don't watch old films. I watch classic films.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. Go back and watch some of the older classic black films,
Mhm.
because there's so many really interesting black films, like For Love of Ivy. See, um, and does anybody talk about that movie anymore?
I mean, honestly, this street sidewalk vendor, DVD vendor in 2010, he was like, you should watch, because I was looking for Sidney Poitier movies, and he hit me to A Warm December, For Love of Ivy.
Oh yeah, One December is another really great one. Yeah,
Woo! It's
with
everything.
another kind of sad ending,
Yes.
but War December is. And that actress, I wish she had more roles. I wish she had.
Esther Anderson from
Yeah, she
Jamaica.
became a photographer.
Oh,
She's a quite well known now
it was
artistic,
beautiful.
yeah, portrait
Beautiful.
photographer, art photography. Her artistic journey went in a completely different direction.
Okay.
But
They
yeah,
had great chemistry. Great
yeah,
chemistry.
and I miss that. It's like, I know a lot of people like what's the movie? I'm gonna go to my hip cool thing again.
Uh-oh.
Love Jones.
Yeah.
Love Jones to me seems so, maybe because I'm older. I mean, it just seems to be like kind of superficially slick, you know?
Disagree.
I know. I know. Everybody, I know. Everybody loves it. I know. But I'm like, uh, you know. And like I said, I kind of like movies. I should say love movies. Here I go again. About people who have lived life,
Mhm.
you know, because those characters, when they're involved, it means a lot more. Like Ingrid Bergman. Or like, you know, Abby Lincoln in For Love of Ivy.
Right.
That relationship means more to her because she's lived a life. and it hasn't been really a happy one. Well, I should say it's been a frustrating one for her.
Yeah.
You know, so when she gets involved with Sidney Poitier, that it really changes her life because, and also the fact that I like the fact that
her life lacked passion.
right, and also the fact that Abby Lincoln is like a regular black woman. She's not like
Very
she's not,
regular.
she's not like Zendaya. Okay,
She's not Diane Carroll either, but her smile was beautiful.
right, and it's like yeah, like regular people fall in love too. You know, and the thing about the movie just I just mentioned, Love Jones, is that yeah, okay, you're too young. You don't really know what life is. Would they still be together 10 years from now?
That's a good question.
You
That's a,
know, the writer, I mean Ted Richard, he did write a sequel, but he never got. Who knows why? There's so many stories and rumors I heard why he never made another movie. I don't know, but he did say that he did write a sequel. But actually, I would love to see that because then now the characters have been through life. They have experienced it. Would
cool.
they still be together? Or maybe they broke apart and married somebody else and then
Have
met again?
children. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they have children with somebody else? What happened? To
Are
me,
they
that's
still
interesting to me.
are they still artists?
Yeah, that's an interesting movie. It's like the way we were with
Yeah.
Robert Redford and
Don't
Barbara Streisand. You
don't,
know,
don't
they
shoot me,
have
but
a
I've
life.
never seen that.
They live life, they go out, they bring it, and then at the end of the movie, it's that they meet together after years of being apart. You know,
Yeah.
you live a life. And that's what it is. And that's why movies, love stories that revolve around young people don't interest me because it's like Insecure. I tried watching that show the first season. I gave up halfway,
I've never
and I
seen
realized, hey, you know what? I'm not a millennial black woman. I'm not.
No,
I
you're
understand what I will watch the show. I go like, what's your problem? What is your problem? I'm not a millennial black woman. Okay, it appeals to you. Fine. If or whoever that show is made for. Even Issa Rae said this show is not for everybody.
no.
Okay, I get it. It's not for me.
Right.
The show I really relate to is Curb Your Enthusiasm. I understand that guy.
I
I
love that series. Love it.
but I understand him. I know what it's like. When you've been being and everything annoys you. I get it. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Everything I do goes wrong. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm Larry David. I understand where Larry David comes from on that show
Yeah. Yeah.
because you have to have lived a life.
Oh my God, he used to crack me up. But let's go ahead and wrap this on up. So taking it back to Goodbye Again, why would you recommend people see it, Sergio?
Hey, simple. It's a really, really good, very emotionally involving, tearjerker love story. As I said, the kind of movie that they really don't know how to make anymore. They used to make movies like this almost a dime a dozen at one time, but they've, I guess, kind of fallen out of favor, or you just, as I said before, you filmmakers don't know how to make movies like this because they haven't experienced life like that, not yet. So, that's why when you see a love story today, they seem to me superficial,
Mhm.
because the person hasn't experienced, you know, what it's like to fall in love and then be disappointed and have that happen again and again and again. What's it like to be involved with the wrong person again and again and again? But you can't give that person up because you're still getting something out of it.
Whew. Let's end right there.
All
Whew.
right.
I can't listen. I can't improve upon. I can't add. I can't do shit. Perfect. Check out Goodbye Again. It's available on Amazon Prime. I think in YouTube is where you can stream it. Sergio, where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
Well, I'm on you can on Facebook or Instagram, just under my name.
Sergio Mims, folks. I'm China L. Cosin, also known as Chinese actress and indie filmmaker, and I hope you enjoyed our discussion, our film reaction to Goodbye Again, starring Ingrid Bergman, released in Paris in 1961 with Anthony Perkins. Woohoo! Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.